All right, welcome back. So today we are wrestling with a ghost.
I know this ghost.
Yeah, you do, right? It's that feeling, and I know you felt it, where you're pushing against a wall, and it simply will not move.
You're doing all the right things.
Yeah.
Or what you think are the right things.
You're doing the work, checking all the boxes, you're trying to be a decent person, but the needle, it isn't moving. And then you look across the room or you scroll through your feed and you see someone else.
And maybe they aren't even working as hard as you are.
Not even close. But doors just seem to fly open for them. They walk into a room and opportunities fall into their lap like rain.
It is one of the most frustrating things in the world. It feels like the universe is just playing favorites.
It feels personal.
Yeah, it really does.
Exactly. It feels like luck or magic.
Yeah.
But today, we're going to look at a stack of research and some very old philosophy that suggests this isn't about luck at all. It's a mechanism.
It is. We're looking at the architecture of readiness. We're going to deconstruct why some people see doors where other people just see walls.
We're getting into episode 10 of the Master Key System by Charles F. Hannell, but we aren't just staying back then. We are overlaying this with Aristotle, with the Stoic philosophers, and modern behavioral science from researchers like Golvitzer and Odinian.
So it's a full spectrum look.
It is, and our mission is pretty simple, but I think high stakes. We want to decode how to spot the openings that are already right in front of us. And then, more importantly, how to take the specific ethical action required to use them.
We're trying to move from that abstract wish for more to the concrete mechanics of right action.
If this episode helps you, please hit like and subscribe for the next one. So let's get into it.
So we have to start with the source text, with Hamill. Episode 10 is called Opportunities and Right Action. And he opens with a premise that honestly can feel a bit insulting if you're struggling right now.
Right. He starts talking about nature. And he doesn't describe nature as, stingy or difficult.
No. He uses 3 very provocative words. He says nature is lavish, wasteful, and extravagant.
Lavish, wasteful, and extravagant. I have to be honest, when I look at, my bank account or the job market, lavish isn't the first word that comes to mind.
No. It feels tight.
It feels scarce. It feels like a fight for every single inch.
And that is the fundamental gap that Hannell is trying to bridge. He's arguing that the universe is just characterized by abundance, not scarcity. But he isn't really talking about economics, not yet. He's talking about physics, about biology.
Like a forest.
Exactly. Think about a forest. Does the forest ration its leaves? Does the ocean hold back the waves?
No. It creates millions of seeds just to grow one tree. It makes thousands of fish eggs just for a few to survive.
Right. There's this profusion of life, of energy, of substance. It's almost wasteful in its generosity. Nature doesn't budget. So Hannell argues that if we perceive a lack of opportunity, the issue isn't with the external world.
The broadcasting signal is fine.
The signal is fine. The problem is in our receiver. It's a problem of perception, what he always calls the world within.
So if the signal is broadcasting music, but my radio is broken or just tuned to static, I'm going to conclude there's no music out there.
Precisely. And this is where we move away from metaphysics and straight into neuroscience. We need to define what an opportunity actually is in plain English, because I think we get it wrong.
We do. We think it's a winning lottery ticket just floating down from the sky.
Or a headhunter calling you for a CEO job you never even applied for.
Yeah, we want the result without the process, the harvest without the planting.
Right. But in the context of what we're talking about today and looking at the behavioral science, opportunity is really the opening you can actually act on.
The opening you can actually act on.
That's the key phrase. It is the precise moment where your internal readiness meets external reality.
Internal readiness meets external reality. That sounds like an equation.
It basically is. Opportunity follows readiness. But we miss these meetings constantly, and there's a scientific concept that explains why. It's called salience bias.
Okay, let's break that down. Salience bias. So this is how we filter the world.
Well, think of it this way. Your brain is a processing machine, but it has limits. You are bombarded with millions of bits of data every single moment.
The sound of the fridge, the temperature, the color of the wall, the conversation at the next table.
But the texture of your shirt, all of it. If you paid equal attention to everything, you'd effectively be catatonic. You couldn't function.
You would be so overwhelmed by noise, you wouldn't be able to cross the street because you'd be too busy looking at the texture of the asphalt.
Exactly. So the brain has a filtering system. In neurology, people talk about the reticular activating system, or RAS. Its job is to filter out the noise and only let in what it thinks is salient.
That's relevant.
What's relevant, it only notices what you have told it to look for.
This is the classic red car phenomenon, isn't it? You decide you want to buy a red Tesla, and suddenly you see red Teslas on every street corner.
Right. They didn't just appear out of nowhere.
They were always there.
They were always there. But before you made that decision, they were just background noise. Now they're signal. Your brain has tagged them as important.
So how does this apply to opportunity? If I want a new job or to meet a partner, how does that RAS come into play?
Well, if you haven't clearly defined your aim, if you don't know specifically what you are looking for, your brain literally filters out the opportunities as noise. You cannot see the opening because you haven't told your brain that it matters.
So clarity creates perception.
It's the only thing that does. This is why Hanel is so insistent on clarity. An unclear aim leads to a physiological blind spot.
That is fascinating. So we aren't missing opportunities because they don't exist. We're missing them because we haven't programmed our own filter correctly.
That's a huge part of it. But, it's not just about not seeing, it's also about what we do when we do see something. Hanel talks about scattered attention.
Right.
Even if the opportunity walks right by you, if your mind is jumping from one worry to another, from Instagram to your email, you can't engage in deep noticing. You're just skimming the surface of your own life.
And then there's the emotional part. We have to talk about fear.
Fear is the great paralyzer. But in this context, fear usually shows up as a delay. We wait for perfect conditions.
Which never arrive.
They never arrive.
Yeah.
We wait for the guarantee that this opportunity will definitely pay off.
We want to see the destination before we even get in the car. We want to know the book will be a bestseller before we write the first sentence.
Exactly. But an opportunity, by its very definition, contains risk. If the outcome were guaranteed, it wouldn't be an opportunity, it would be a transaction.
It'd be a purchase.
Yeah, it'd be a purchase. Waiting for certainty is the absolute fastest way to kill a possibility.
That hits home. I think we've all been there, waiting until we feel ready, not realizing that the feeling of readiness is a lagging indicator. It only shows up after you start.
Which brings us to the second pillar of this whole thing. If the abundance is real, if opportunities are floating all around us like radio waves, how do we actually engage with them? Heddle calls this right action.
Now, right action sounds a little moralistic, doesn't it? Like something from Sunday school. Do right, not wrong. But reading the text, I get the sense he means something more mechanical.
Oh, it is.
Like a key fitting a lock.
Right.
As in the correct fit.
It is mechanical, but it's also ethical. It's holistic. Right action isn't just busy work. We all know people who are incredibly busy.
Oh, yeah. Always running, always stressed, always doing something.
Yeah.
But they never actually move forward.
The hamster on the wheel, lots of sweat, no destination.
Exactly.
That is action, but it isn't right action. Right action has 4 distinct components in this philosophy. First, it has to be aligned with your aim. Second, it has to be clean and ethical. Third, it has to be small enough to do immediately. And fourth, it's proven by follow-through.
Action proves belief. I want to double-click on that clean and ethical part. Because in the business world especially, there's this myth that to get ahead, you have to be a shark.
You have to take what's yours.
Right. Hanel seems to reject that completely.
He rejects it violently. He creates this distinction between what he calls creative thought and competitive thought. He says mental power is creative. Nature creates 2 blades of grass where one grew before. It doesn't steal a blade of grass from the neighbor's yard to make yours look better.
So it's non-zero sum.
Exactly, right? Action has to benefit the whole. If your opportunity relies on someone else losing or being tricked or being diminished in some way, it's not an opportunity in the Hanel system. It's a trap. It just creates a debt that you will eventually have to pay.
Okay, so let's connect this to the classics. We talked about the Stoics in our prep. How does a Roman philosopher look at this idea of right action?
This is where it gets really interesting, because the Stoics were incredibly practical people. Epictetus, one of the great teachers, he talks about the concept of winter training.
Winter training. I like that. The off-season.
Yes, it's a military metaphor. The idea is that you cannot learn to swim when the ship is already sinking. You can't learn to be courageous when the crisis is already kicking down your door.
So you prepare your principles before the difficulty shows up.
You train in the winter for the campaign in the summer.
So readiness is an active state. It's not sitting on the couch waiting for the phone to ring. It's Sharpening your tools while the house is quiet.
Correct. If you want an opportunity to be a writer, are you writing every day now when nobody is reading it? If you want an opportunity to lead, are you leading yourself effectively now when nobody is following you? That is winter training.
And then we have Aristotle. He adds a crucial nuance to right action with his concept of the mean. Most people know this as the Goldilocks principle.
The Goldilocks mean not too hot, not too cold. But Aristotle applied this to virtue in action. He argued that excellence is found in the middle ground between two extremes.
Okay.
Let's take the action of taking a risk or courage. If you have too little courage, what are you?
You're a coward. You freeze up. You never leave the house. You hide under the bed.
You miss the opportunity by default. But what if you have too much courage? What if you have zero fear?
Then you're reckless.
Yeah.
You take stupid risks. You bet the farm on a bad hand.
Yeah.
You drive without a seatbelt.
Exactly. So right action is the mean. It is doing the right thing at the right time to the right degree. It avoids the extremes of recklessness, doing too much, too fast and cowardice, doing too little, too late.
It's surgical.
That's a great word for it. It's surgical.
Mm-hmm.
And Hanel echoes this when he talks about insight. He says insight allows us to see the potential problem-solving paths that are beyond the surface difficulties. It lets us find that middle path, that Aristotelian mean, where the action is actually effective.
So let's look at the map we've drawn so far. We have the definition of opportunity. It's the opening you can see because you are actually looking for it.
Right.
We have the definition of right action. It is the aligned, ethical, surgical step you take at the right time.
Yes.
But how do we bridge that gap? I mean, how do we actually do this in real life? Because Heinel says thought is the engine, but action is the transmission.
And if the transmission is broken, the engine just revs. You make a lot of noise, you burn a lot of fuel, but you go nowhere.
So let's fix the transmission. We've distilled this down into a 4-step method based on all this material. Let's walk through it. Step 1. Clarify the aim.
This goes right back to salience bias. You must have a well-defined mental picture. If your aim is vague, like, I want to be successful or I want to be happy, your brain doesn't know what to look for.
It's too abstract.
Totally. Success doesn't have a shape. Happiness doesn't have a color.
It's like telling a taxi driver, take me somewhere nice. You're not going to get where you want to go.
No, you need to be specific. I want to lead a team in the renewable energy sector. I want to run a marathon in under 4 hours. I want to save $10,000 for a down payment. That specificity creates the filter. It tells your RAS what to let in.
Okay, step 2, train attention. This is where Hanel gets very practical and honestly a little tedious with his exercises, but there is a reason for it.
Yes. In this part of the Master Key system, he gives a very specific exercise. He asks the student to take a simple object, a flower, a pencil, whatever, and just look at it.
Just look at it. For how long?
He suggests 10 to 15 minutes.
That sounds excruciating, just staring at a pencil.
It sounds simple, but I challenge you to try it. Try to focus your entire attention on a pencil for just 5 minutes. No other thoughts. No thinking about dinner, no wondering about that email you didn't send, no analyzing the pencil's history. Just the raw visual perception of the pencil.
My mind would want to bolt immediately. It's like trying to hold a wild dog on a leash. It wants to go chase a squirrel.
It wants to wander. It craves stimulation. But Hanel is saying you are training the mind to hold a focus without wavering. It's like weightlifting for your attention span.
That's a good way to put it.
If you can't hold your focus on a simple pencil for 5 minutes, how can you possibly expect to hold your focus on a complex, life-changing opportunity when things get chaotic and stressful?
That is a fair point. If your attention is weak, your ability to spot an opportunity is weak. You'll just get distracted by the next shiny object. To scan for openings, you need a steady gaze.
Exactly.
Step 3. This involves some modern science, implementation intentions, the if-then plan.
Right. This comes from the research of Peter Gollwitzer and Gabriel Eidingen. They did these extensive studies on goal achievement, and they found that good intentions are rarely enough.
We all intend to eat healthy.
We all intend to work on our side project,
Yeah.
but when the moment comes, we hesitate.
We get tired. We get distracted. We start to negotiate with ourselves. Oh, I'll just do it tomorrow. I earned a break.
Right. And that negotiation is the death of action. So an if-then plan, it takes the decision out of the moment. You make the decision beforehand. You create a script for your brain. The formula is simply, if I encounter obstacle X, then I will do action Y.
Can you give us a concrete example of that?
Sure. Let's say your aim is to write a book. But you know that when you get home from work, you're exhausted. You see the couch, you see the remote, and that is the obstacle.
The classic
The
obstacle.
classic obstacle. The if-then plan would be, if I walk through the front door after work, then I will immediately put my phone in a drawer and write for 15 minutes before I sit down.
You script the reaction.
You automate the response. This removes all the hesitation. You don't have to debate with yourself. You have pre-decided. This is a form of right action because it prepares you for the reality of resistance. It acknowledges you will be tired, and it solves for it in advance.
I love that. It saves your willpower for the actual work, not for the decision to start the work.
Okay.
Step 4 is a big one. Remove contradictions.
This is where Seneca and Heinel are in perfect agreement. Seneca says, deed and word should be in accord. You cannot build a new life while you're still holding on to old contradictory habits.
It's like trying to drive with the parking brake on. You might move forward a bit, but you are just destroying the car.
Exactly. If your aim is to be physically healthy, but your habit is to stay up until 3 in the morning eating junk food, you have a major contradiction. Hannell says this contradiction essentially cancels out your mental power. You're sending mixed signals to the universe and, more importantly, to your own subconscious.
And the subconscious loves consistency.
It demands it. If you say, I am wealthy, but you act out of fear and penny pinching every time you buy a coffee, the subconscious believes the action, not the affirmation. You have to find the contradiction and remove it.
So, clarity, trained attention, if-then planning, and removing contradictions. That is the method. But I think this really lands when we see it in action. So let's look at some real-world examples. We've pulled 3 scenarios: work, relationships, and habits.
Let's start with work. And the classic example here is Steve Jobs.
The calligraphy story. It is famous, but let's look at it through this specific lens of right action.
Okay, so Jobs drops out of Reed College. He's sleeping on floors. He's returning Coke bottles for food money. Technically, by any standard, he's a failure in the academic system. But he does something really interesting.
Yeah.
He starts to drop in on classes that just interest him.
And he takes a calligraphy class.
Right, which at the time seemed completely and utterly useless. It had no practical application for a guy in tech. Computers were just green text on black screens. They didn't do fonts.
Zero utility. There was no aim for a career in typography because that career didn't exist in the way we know it now. But his curiosity was the aim. The right action for him was just to deepen his understanding of design and beauty. He followed a thread, he noticed an opening, and 10 years later...
10 years later, he's designing the Macintosh. And he remembers the serif and sans serif typefaces. He remembers the varying amount of space between different letter combinations. And because of that one class, because of that useless knowledge, the Mac becomes the first computer with beautiful typography.
And then Windows copied the Mac, and now we all use it.
The opportunity was hidden inside that calligraphy class. But he only saw it because he was open to it. The right action was taking the class even when it didn't have an obvious immediate payout. He didn't wait for a guarantee. He trusted the winter training.
That is powerful. It really redefines what productive means. Sometimes the most productive thing you can do is just follow a genuine curiosity. Let's pivot to relationships. This is a tough one for people. We often see conflict as the end of an opportunity, not the beginning of one.
Right. Let's say you are in a conflict with a partner or a close friend. The tension is high. The scarcity mindset kicks in immediately.
That's the fight or flight. I need to win this argument. I need to protect my ego. I need to prove that you're wrong.
But the opportunity mindset sees this moment completely differently. The tension is an opening. It is an opening to deepen the bond. So the aim shifts from winning to clarity and connection.
We looked at John Gottman's research here, the Love Lab.
Right. Gottman talks about repair attempts. These are small moments in a conflict where one person tries to de-escalate. Maybe they make a silly face. Maybe they just say, hey, this is getting out of hand. Can we take a break?
Or just, I'm sorry, I overreacted.
Just that. And Shasta Nelson's work on frenemies fits here too. She talks about consistency and vulnerability.
Right.
The right action in a conflict isn't to withdraw, which is cowardice, or to attack, which is recklessness. It is the mean. It is to make a repair attempt. It's to be vulnerable, to say, I am feeling hurt right now. That is a small, ethical, aligned action. It turns a moment of potential destruction into a moment of construction.
So the opportunity is the fight itself.
The fight is the opportunity. That's a complete reframe. The fight isn't the problem. It's the gym. It's where you build the relationship muscle.
If you're ready for it, if you have that aim of connection.
Exactly.
Okay, let's talk habits. This is where most people get really stuck. We want to be healthy, but the gym feels a million miles away.
Here we turn to James Clear and his concept of identity-based habits. This links perfectly with Handel's whole idea of the world within.
Clear says we need to focus on who we wish to become, not just what we want to achieve.
Correct. So the scenario is, you want to get in shape. The wrong action is trying to run a marathon on day one. You will fail, you will hurt yourself, and you will just reinforce the identity of a failure.
So what is the right action?
One push-up. Or just putting on your running shoes and stepping out the front door.
That feels too small. Feels like it doesn't even count.
Small ethical steps. They count the most. Because you aren't just moving your body, you are proving a new identity to yourself. You are saying, I am the type of person who works out. The opportunity is the choice to do that one small thing. You are casting a vote for your future self.
And that links right back to removing contradiction. You can't say, I am an athlete and then never move your body. The small action removes that contradiction.
Precisely. It aligns the inner belief with the outer reality.
I want to move this from theory to practice right now. We're going to do a guided exercise. So if you're listening, unless you are driving a car or operating heavy machinery, I want you to try this along with us. We're going to do an opportunity scan and right action audit.
Let's do it. This will only take a moment, but it can really shift the momentum of your entire day.
Step 1, calm the body.
Just take a breath, slow the mind. You know, Hanel says that anxiety blurs vision. If you are frantic, you are blind. So stillness is the prerequisite for sight. Just let your shoulders drop.
Step 2, name the aim.
Pick one thing. Don't pick 10. Just one thing you're trying to achieve or solve and put it in one short sentence. I want to finish my book. I want to repair my relationship with my brother. I want to organize my finances. Just say it clearly in your mind.
Okay. Step 3, the scan.
No, ask yourself this question. What openings already exist around this aim? And don't look for the perfect opening. Look for any opening.
I have 20 minutes right now.
I have my brother's phone number. I have a spreadsheet on my laptop. What is available to you right now in this moment?
Step 4, choose right action.
Pick one thing you can do today, not next week, today. It has to be small. It has to be ethical. It has to be aligned. I will write 200 words. I will send one text message. I will categorize 5 expenses.
Step 5, define done.
In simple terms, how do you know you've succeeded? When I hit send, when the timer goes off, when the page is full. You have to remove the ambiguity. Ambiguity is the enemy of action.
Step 6, remove contradiction.
Identify the one thing that usually stops you. Is it scrolling on your phone? Is it perfectionism? Decide right now to put the phone in the other room. Decide that a B- effort is acceptable. Just remove the friction.
And finally, step 7, commit.
It's just a calm statement of intent. I will do this. No hype, no big emotion, just a fact. You are programming the machine.
It feels different when you break it down like that. It feels manageable.
Readiness meets reality. That is the power of the system. It takes the mountain and breaks it down into stones that you can actually carry.
But even with a system like this, people mess this up. What are the common traps? We've identified 5 big mistakes people make when trying to apply this.
The first one is the classic, looking for big breaks instead of small openings. We're all waiting for the movie moment. We're waiting to be discovered. Meanwhile, the small opening, the chance to learn a new skill, the chance to help a colleague, is right there in front of us.
We step over the dollars to pick up pennies,
Oh,
or we step over the seeds to look for the forest.
that's a better way to put it. Mistake number 2, waiting for certainty.
We covered this, but it's worth repeating.
It is, trying to eliminate all risk. If you wait until you are 100% sure, you are too late. Opportunity requires a leap of faith, not a written guarantee.
Mistake number 3. This one has a weird name. Boning yourself.
This is a fascinating bit of medical anthropology. It comes from Dr. Herbert Benson's research. He was looking at Aboriginal tribes and the bone-pointing ritual.
Tell us about that.
So in these cultures, the Kurdacha man, the ritual executioner, would point a specifically crafted bone at a victim and chant a curse. And the person would actually die.
But not from magic, not from poison.
No. They died from the nocebo effect. Their belief in the curse was so absolute, so overwhelming, that their own autonomic nervous system would collapse. Their blood pressure would drop, their heart would stop.
Wow.
Dr. Benson called it remembered illness or negative expectation.
That is terrifying.
It is. But in modern terms, we bone ourselves when we use our minds to curse our own chances. I'm not good enough. It never works out for me. I'm just unlucky. When you say that and you truly believe it, you are literally instructing your body and your mind to fail. You are pointing the bone at yourself.
You're creating a biological reality out of a psychological fear.
Exactly. Which just shows the immense power of the world within.
Mistake number 4. Action without aim.
This is the hamster wheel again. Being busy, answering emails all day, running errands, but none of it moves the needle on your actual goal. It feels like work, but it's just noise.
Motion, not action.
Motion, not action. And finally, mistake number 5. Ignoring the mean.
The Goldilocks principle.
Burning out. This is the too much extreme. You get excited, you try to do everything in one day, you completely exhaust yourself, and then you quit for a month. You violated the principle. Consistency beats intensity every time.
So let's bring all this together. We've covered a lot of ground, from the metaphysics of abundance to the neuroscience of attention, from Steve Jobs to Aboriginal rituals. Let's just recap the core truths from today.
If you take nothing else away, remember these 7 points. First, opportunity is always present. It is our perception, our salience bias that is usually lacking.
Second, clarity of aim creates the filter that allows you to finally see the opening.
Third, readiness is an active state. It is winter training, not passive waiting.
Fourth, right action is ethical, aligned, and immediate. It fits the moment perfectly.
Fifth, use those if-then plans to automate your response to obstacles so you don't have to rely on willpower when it's low.
Sixth, remove the mental contradictions, the habits and the thoughts that sabotage your own work.
And finally, abundance is a natural law. When you align with it through action, you aren't forcing a door open. You are simply walking through one that was already ajar.
This really changes how I look at my to-do list. It's not just a list of chores. It's a series of choices. Am I ready? Am I acting right?
Every moment is a question. Life is asking, are you ready? And your action is the only answer.
So we've discussed the action today. We've discussed what we do. But there's another side to this coin, isn't there? Once you act, something happens. The universe responds.
Exactly. Action is the cause. But what governs the result? What governs the effect? Next time, we are going deeper into the mechanics of consequence.
We're teasing episode 11, Cause and Effect, and the Law. It is going to be a big one.
It's the other half of the equation. You really don't want to miss it.
Thanks for being here. If you want the full series, check the playlist. And please like and subscribe so you don't miss the next episode.